Hello everyone, my name is Adnan and I am going to show you in this video how to work with Nat Instance within AWS environment. So basically what is Nat is Nat stands for a network address translation, and it is used to translate network addresses from one type of networking into another, or in a nutshell or in a very basic understanding is that you connect two network together. So most of the time, NAT is basically used to connect private subnets to a public IP address, and the simplest example of NAT is the use of internet at home. So once we receive a router from our ISP, that router has NAT, and all of the devices that are connected at home, like all the smartphones, laptops, they connect using Wi-Fi network, and they are connecting to internet using a NAT service. So by definition, you can use a network address translation instance in a public subnet in your VPC to enable instances in private subnet to initiate outbound IPv4 traffic to internet or other AWS services. And there are two NAT services. There are two types of NAT services within AWS environment. One is known as Nat Instance. The other one is known as NAT Gateway. So NAT Instance is used for a smaller environment. NAT Gateway is used for an enterprise environment. NAT Gateway has so many features, but main functionality is exactly the same: to connect a private network to a public network. So in a private network, you can connect hundreds of computers from internal, and they all can use internet using a NAT service and connect to internet. So in this lab, what we are going to do is we are going to create a VPC subnet security group NAT instance, deploy a NAT instance, and then we disable the source and destination check in the NAT services. Then we are going to set up the routing table and then test internet access to internet access in testing internet access in the private subnet. So in this lab, I am going to create a VPC, my own VPC. And then once we create a VPC with a subnet of 10.0.0.016, and then we connect a gateway, internet gateway, then we create a routing table. So our VPC subnet will be 10.0.0.0/16, and we will install our internet gateway. We'll create this route inside the routing table. And then I will create two subnets inside. One is public subnet, the other one, this one is public subnet, then another subnet, which is private subnet. For public subnet, I'm going to set up the network, the subnet IP address 10.0.0.0.0/24, and for the private subnet 10.0.1.0/24. And we are going to create another routing table that will have the subnet associated with this. The subnet that will be associated with the private subnet, and we are going to connect these servers, all the VMs inside that will be connecting to using the NAT appliance. For that, we need to create a routing table. So in a nutshell, this is what I'm going to do first. First, create a VPC, number one, and then we will install an internet gateway, set up the route. So this will be VPC internet gateway, set up a routing table, and then I will create two subnets. One is public subnet, the second one is private subnet, and we are going to test a route. And then once the networking is configured, then I'm going to install one VM EC2 instance here, Windows EC2 instance, and another EC2 instance in the private subnet. The EC2 instance that is sitting in the public subnet will be able to get internet access through internet gateway, but for the EC2 instance that are sitting in the private subnet, they won't be able to connect to internet gateway because there is no route. So in order for them to get access to internet will be through NAT instance. So NAT, and they connect to NAT, and from NAT they can go out to internet gateway. Yes, so we do need to install a NAT instance in the public subnet. This NAT instance must be in a public subnet, number one. Number two is that this should have a public IP address. Okay, so let's get started. So here I am. So the very first thing, I am going to jump into VPC. So VPC, and I'm going to create, first of all, a VPC here. I'm going to make a VPC. I already have one VPC. Let me delete that. So when you delete VPC, it will delete its own subnets as well. So I'm just deleting this VPC so that we can create a new. So we have a VPC. Let me see the internet gateways. There are no internet gateways. There are no extra subnets. So let's create a VPC. Keep looking at the diagram here. Let's create a VPC. So create a VPC. We will name it demo Nat VPC 01. So this is demo Nat VPC 01, and here the subnet is 10.0.0./16. This will be our subnet and nothing else. Everything is fine. Create. So this is, we have created a VPC first, and secondly, I need to create internet gateway. I can create subnets as well, but I'll create internet gateway. And within internet gateway, I am going to name it demo Nat. This is for Nat. This is for Nat Lab. I'm calling this Nat Lab. So let's call this Nat Lab. And this is for IGW-01. So, and that's it. Internet gateway is created. After that, what we need to do is create a route. So this is what we have decided that. So first I created a VPC, then I created internet gateway, and now I'm going to configure route. So I'm going to configure this routing table. This blue one we already exist. So I need to create this route. So for that, let's go to internet gateway. This is my internet gateway. I need to go into the routing table of VPC. So I can go from here or go through the routing table. Let's go from here, from VPC. So first click on your default from your NAT VPC. And from here, I can see that this is networking. This is the main routing table. Let's go into this routing table, go to routes. So once we are here, so we can see one route, and I'm going to add another route, which is add route. So this will be for all the traffic that is going out should use this should be internet gateway. So internet gateway. Okay, it couldn't find the internet gateway. There is something wrong with this. So I'll cancel this. Let's go back to our internet gateway. Oh yes, so once you create an internet gateway, it needs to be attached to a VPC. So for that, let's select this and attach to a VPC. So it is attached to, it is asking for a VPC. So for that reason, it needs to be that. So we created a VPC, we created internet gateway, we attached it there. Now we'll go into the routing table of this VPC. We can go from here. Last time we went from here. This time I'm going to go from the routing table. So this is the default routing table. We don't need to make any changes to this. This is our routing table. Let me name it. So this will be our demo NatLab RT01. So everything, I'm trying to make it the naming as consistent for this lab. So NatLab RT route 01, save. And in this, I need to go into the routes. need to edit the route. And now this time when I add a route for all the traffic going to Internet Gateway, I am able to see the gateway. So now this is done. So we have configured VPC, we have configured the routing table with Internet Gateway. So this is fine. Now let's create the two subnets. So I am going to, these are the default subnets. I'm going to create the uh, two subnet, public subnet and the private subnet for my NAT. So this is my NAT VPC. And here I'm going to, so first one is 010.0.0./24 and preferred is 1A. And here, sorry, this is the subnet that I need. This is the subnet. Here I need to name it. So the name will be demo net lab. And so this is public sub 01. So this is public subnet 01. So this is that. And I'm going to add another subnet, which is, so I'm going to name that as private, PRI. And this will be in 1B. And the subnet ID will be 10.0.1.0/24. 24. So this is the second subnet and create subnets. So now both of the subnets are being created. So what we did, we created this VPC, number one. We created the internet gateway. We also set up this route. So this is done. I also created the two subnets. One subnet is public subnet. The other subnet is private subnet. Now, the next thing I need to create is two VMs inside. So one VM goes inside this, the second VM goes inside this. And then we test the VM, and then later we create the NAT, we install the NAT instance. So going back to our lab here, let's go to EC2. I'll open it in another tab. And within the other tab, I don't have any VMs here. So let's create the first VM. And I'm going to create two VMs one by one. So the first VM is, let's say, so this VM will be Windows VM. And in here, so it will be the same. So just make sure that this VM exists in our NAT VPC. This will be part of our public subnet. So remember PUB, and here you do need a public IP address. This will be our public, sitting in public subnet. Rest is, I don't need to provide anything other than the tag. So the name tag for this one will be demo net netlab demo netlab, and this is EC2 dash public dash 01. So I just named it that this is a EC2 instance which is in public subnet. And here, if we can add, this is, let me add here one more W. So this is W. W means this is a Windows instance. You can add this like this. So I just copied the name from here so that I can add that to the security groups, just for my understanding. And here, let's add here just one. So we need to add this port 80. So in case we need to install IAS, I don't think we need to install IAS. I just added it and review and launch. So here, once it is reviewed and launched, I need to assign a key. So let me create a new key for this. So I'm gonna call this, demo netlab key -01. So if you follow a consistent naming convention, that will make it easier for you. Always download this key. So this key is downloaded in my documents and downloads actually, and launch the instance. So this key will be used for view instances, and I'm going to launch another instance. So that will be Windows as well. And server 2019, next. And here, just, so here select VPC, and this will be part of the private subnet. So this is my private subnet, and we don't need public IP address. So here it is disabled, and next. And this is the storage. We do need the same storage. And here, name, we need to provide the name. And so, so this is the name of this VM is demo. And I'm gonna take this name, but in this public, I'm gonna call this private. Copy this name for the security groups. And this is also a Windows instance. So just copy that here. We are providing the name so that in the security groups, this I can find out that I can see that which security group belongs to which EC2 instance. Here, we just provide HTTP, and that's it. So here it is, just need to make sure it's open for everything. Launch, select the existing key and select acknowledge, and next. So the second instance is being created. So now there are two instances. So now from the lab, we have created VPC, Internet Gateway, route, two instances. So two instances. So now in order to test that out, I need to log into this instance, public instance, and I'll access internet. Internet will be working because it is connected outside. But when I log into this one, then the only way to log into this instance is from the public instance, because this is not connected outside. So let's do this test first. So let me go to the view instances. Let me refresh the screen. Let me make sure if, so both of the instances are being initialized at the moment. So in the meantime, what we'll do, we'll install a NAT instance. So this is being, because we are going to need a NAT instance. So in order to install a NAT instance, let's go here, type the word NAT. You won't find anything in here, but when you select the community APIs, you can see this is a NAT instance. So NAT, search for NAT in community APIs and select the first one. So, and so once you select the first one, make sure it is sitting in the public, in the NAT VPC. It should be sitting in the public subnet, and there should be a public IP address attached with this. So this is one that you need to do. And secondly, we name it, add a tag, and so this is name, and the name of this instance will be, this is NAT This is a NAT. This is a NAT instance, and this is a Linux instance. So Linux instance NAT, and this is sitting in a public subnet. So it is sitting in the public subnet. Let me copy this name. In the security group, I just need to add that to the security group, the name, just for the naming convention. But here, one more thing that you need to do within the security group of this NAT instance, you need to add a rule for all traffic, all traffic, all traffic allow. So this needs to go outside from anywhere. So this is what you need to do. All traffic going to anywhere, and that's it, and review and launch. Here we are going to use the same key. So this is the same key used for this, and the NAT instance is being prepared. So once the NAT instance is ready, so it is being prepared, and let's check here that which instances are ready. So my public instance is ready. Let's log into the public instance. So NAT instance is right there. I haven't done anything else. There is two more configuration that we need to do on NAT, and I'm not doing that at the moment. First, let me show you what happens without a NAT instance. So here, first of all, let's log into the public instance. So I'm going into the public instance, and so from the public instance, I need to connect, go to RDP, get the password, browse, provide the key, decrypt the key, copy the key, download, and let's connect to this instance. So I am connecting to the instance, and paste the key, paste the password, and we are able to connect. So this will connect me to the public instance. But when I try to connect, so this is public instance, I'll let it log in. So in the meantime, I'll just go back to my instances and just refresh the screen just to know the private instance still being initialized, but this public instance has a public IP address. So this has a public IP address, and this has a and it also has a private IP address, whereas the instance that is sitting in the private subnet won't have any public IP address. So this is still being initialized, and actually both are being initialized. Should be ready though. So this is being initialized. I'll provide it few minutes. So it took few minutes, probably 1 minute when I paused it. So the instance is ready. When I go here, there is no public IP address, but a private IP address. So first of all, I need to copy the IP address, go into where I'm logged in. So which is this instance. And here, in order to connect from this public instance, so in order to connect to this, connect from public instance to my private instance, I'll go, so logged into the public instance, you need to go to start, go to remote desktop, and from here just paste the IP address of the private instance and connect. And here you are going to need, so it is asking for the username and password that we can get it from here. So I'm still with the private instance, click connect. We need to get the password. So the same procedure, just browse, provide the key and decrypt the key. And this is the password. So let's jump back to the instance here. And here the username is always administrator and the password. So now this will let us log into the private instance. So since it is sitting in a private subnet, this is why the only way to access this instance is through this public instance. Now, the next test that we need to do is to try to access internet on both of them. The internet will work on the public instance because it is connected to. So I'll minimize this private instance and open internet. But before opening Internet Explorer, let's do just one quick thing. Going into the servers manager, which you can go from here, open server manager, go to local server. We will switch off IE enhanced security. So we are just switching off, because if you don't, then opening any website, it will ask to add the website in the whitelist, and that just takes time. So for that reason, I just switched it off. I open Internet Explorer. We're testing internet on this public instance. And let's go to, if I go here, internet work on this. So internet will work fine on this one. And in the meantime, yes, internet is working. And if I open the private on the private instance, if I do the same thing, first of all, let's go to start, open server manager, disable IE enhanced security. So, and we'll test it that if the internet is working. So let's go to local server, and within local server, we'll go to where click on, and we'll switch it off. So this is done. And the next thing we need to do is open open Internet Explorer. And once we open Internet Explorer, we'll try to access any website. Try to access any website, and google.com. So as soon as we try to open any website, this will time out. Why? Because this private instance has no access to internet because it is sitting in a subnet that doesn't have access to internet gateway. So we need to fix that. In order to fix that, we will connect that to the NAT instance. We will create a route in the private subnet. First of all, we need to create a routing table in that routing and associate this subnet with the routing table and add routing table, add that route in that routing table for this subnet. Okay, so let's understand the problem. The problem is, and it's not a problem actually, this is for security reasons. Internet is available on a public instance, but internet is not directly connected to all the private subnets. So this is to protect our private subnets so that they are not exposed. But we still need internet in a restricted manner. So for that, what we need to do is that we need to connect this subnet with the NAT instance. So this is now what we need to do. So I'm going to minimize this. And I need to go to, so first of all, let's look at our diagram. So we created the VPC. We created two subnets. We created VM in public subnet. We created VM in private subnet. We are logged into the public instance. From here, we are logged into the private instance. The public instance internet is available because traffic is directly going out and going to internet gateway. Whereas this private instance is not directly connected to internet gateway. What we are going to do, we are going to connect that to NAT, and NAT will do network address translation, and it will connect these servers from NAT to out to internet. So in order to do that, we have already installed the NAT appliance in the public. So this NAT appliance exists, and all we need to do is to create another route. So this routing table we need to create, and this routing table we need to add a route for all the traffic for these to go out to the NAT instance. So this is what I'm going to do now. So for that, let me go to the subnets. So these are my subnets. We need to go to the private subnet. So this is my private subnet here. First of all, I need to go to the routing table. So first of all, let's go to the routing table, and here let's create a new route. So now we are configuring NAT access for private. So for that, you need to go to routing table, create a route, and we will name this demo NetLab. So this is for NetLab, and we are going to create a NAT RT, NAT instance RT. So I'm going to call this instance RT -01. So this is NAT RT01. It will be part of NAT VPC because our routing table has to be connected to a VPC, and that's it. So once we create that routing table, this routing table is specially for, now we have three routing table. One is default, one is the main routing table where you see yes is the main, and this one is one we created. So remember that this routing table is specially for NAT appliance. So in here, we'll go inside this routing table. The very first thing, we need to associate subnet with this. So if I go in here, subnet association, there is none. There is a non-explicit subnets. So we will select the private subnet because this routing table is only for the private subnet. So I'm going to select the private subnet from here. So first of all, edit subnet association and select the private and save association. So now you will see that I can see here in subnet association, within under explicit subnet association, you should be able to see private routing table, and public should be out of this. So there is only one routing subnet attached to this routing table. This is the routing table I just created, and then I associated the subnet. The next thing I need to do is create a route in this routing table. There is only one default route, so I'm going to edit the route, add a route, and here all the traffic that is going out needs to go out of the subnet should go to the instance, should go to the NAT instance. So now here, remember that we call this a NAT instance. These are the other instances. This is my public instance, private instance, but this is the NAT instance. So just go here to the NAT instance, save, And once you save this, now our configuration is complete. So now we have this routing table that will send all the traffic for internet here. And now we should be able to use internet on this. So let's see if we are able to use internet. So now I'm trying again. Oh yes, there is one more thing. It won't work. It won't work because we still need to do just one more thing, going into the subnet, going into the instances, going to the NAT instance, and we need to switch off. So select the NAT instance and we need to switch off. We need to go to security and we need to actually, we need to go to networking. We need to change this host and destination only for NAT instance. And this one needs to be disabled. And here you can see the message. If this is a NAT instance, you can stop source and destination checking. So you just make sure stop and save. And once this is done, then our private instance will send internet traffic through NAT instance. Public instance can connect to NAT through internet gateway, but private instance will be able to connect to NAT and access internet. So let's go now here and try to access internet. So here internet is working. So that's what internet. So internet is now available on this. Just to test that out, if internet is really going through the NAT, what we can do is uh, we can stop this instance. So if I stop this, there are other ways to do that as well. Let me stop this. But before stopping, testing that, I just wanted to show you if it is not working and you have not gone through the whole video and your NAT is still not working. Most of the time students forget to set up the security or proper security on NAT. And that is one of the steps that we did, that you need to allow all traffic. You need to allow all traffic going out through NAT, through NAT. So for that, you need to go into the security group and security group, edit the inbound rule and make sure that this all traffic going out is enabled. And we did that step while configuring the settings. So this is NAT is working. Going back to EC2 instances, and if we can check that out one more time in this, internet is available, internet is properly working on this. And if you need to test that out, if internet is only working because of this, we can go here, stop the instance, stop NAT. We stopped the NAT instance. Now we'll go back and do the same test. Just try to access internet and it will now time out. So this time it won't work because the only way these internal instances or the private instances for your organization can use internet only through the NAT gateway. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in another video.